Pick up your gear and open your chests. Throw on your armor and head out on a quest. Hey, hey, it's a brand new day. On the Sword Coast, your allies will help with blazing bows and magic as well. Hey, hey, heroes on their way. Fighting forever against overwhelming odds. Fighting together in favor of multiple gods. Idle champions of the forgotten realms. Idle champions, adventure never ends. Idle champions, hit you all and then. Idle champions, you will say it again. Idle champions. From Waterdeep to Icewind Dale, head out to Chull or Shadowfell, hey, hey. Together we stay. Walk to the monsters, walk to the boss, walk to the right, it's never a loss, hey, hey. Bad guys to slay. Fighting forever against overwhelming odds. Fighting together in favor of multiple gods. Idle champions of the forgotten realms. Idle champions, adventure never ends. Idle champions, hit you all and then. Idle champions, you will say it again. Idle champions.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Gaarawarr's Guide, the tutorial show. This one's going to be a rough one, folks. This one's going to be a rough one. Today's topic is Fleetswake 2025, Part 1. Part 1. Yeah, we're going to be talking about Fleetswake. We're talking about the featured champion, some of the flex champions. Yeah. If you have questions about that or anything about champions or systems, like game systems, throw your question in chat with question : like it says in the white box down below, and Sean will grab your questions and drop them in a little document over here. Because the way this show works is I talk for the first half of the show, and on the topic, just straight on the topic, and then we do the Q&A in the second half. So if you're just looking for assistance with Fleetswake and some of the champions, it's an hour. And I know there's a lot of people that are like, that's way too long. I'm not watching an hour. Look, this game is deeper than you might think. You rush through some of this stuff and then you end up with, I guess, what you paid for, which is nothing because this is free. I don't know. We're here. So Fleetswake. Let's just talk about Fleetswake. Oh, this is a rough one, folks. Normally events, your campaign banner looks like this over on the left. It's got a bunch of campaigns on it. It starts with Grand Tour, but when an event happens, it takes over the top slot because it is priority. You want to do your event stuff. Events are the primary delivery system for new champions in this game. The primary. There's one event a month. Starts on the first Wednesday of every month. It lasts for 3 weeks. That's the way it works. So we get 12 events a year now. We may occasionally get a new champion in a campaign, like an Evergreen. We had the most recent one was Ren from Turn of Fortune's Wheel. That happens like once a year at best. So we get most of our new champions from events, but that's also where you get a chance to unlock champions from previous events. So there's always going to be 2 featured champions. This hack is the first one. And Fleetswake, and next week we get Sheila from the Saturday morning cartoons, one of the last 2 to be added to the game from the cartoon show. Hank will be remaining after that, and while they won't confirm Hank is coming to the game, I mean Hank's got to be coming to the game. They wouldn't add everybody but Hank. I mean, that makes no sense. But you also get to flex champions. So my first flex slot in the first week, you get your feature champion and you get 1 free flex champion. I flex Desmond. We're going to talk about Desmond a little later. And then each week after that, on Wednesday, you get to flex another champion. Now the next 2, this one was completely free. You don't have to pay anything. So you're guaranteed to get 3 champions. You just hop in, you go to area 50 of their adventure and you get a champion. Yay! And then there's other stuff to do, variants and whatnot, and different tiers of variants. I did all 4 for Volo. But then these other 2, these 2 here, they take 3 time gate pieces to unlock. So even when they're available, you still have to spend 3 time gate pieces. Deal. That's the best deal. Normally it's 6 time gate pieces to do a time gate, which is the other way to get champions in this game. But 3 to get to flex a champion and be able to do a bunch of stuff for it, get a bunch of chests and buy packs for them. Yes, please. And then there's also this slot down at the bottom that basically, it says by purchasing DLC containing an event boon. That's like these 2 deals. These all 4 of these DLCs shown over here. But anything with a boon, like it'll say +1 event boon, and it looks like a little D20. Anything from the shop that has an event boon, it's going to unlock one of these. You can buy 1, it'll unlock this. And any other boons that you get help you out here. Event boons. They give you bonuses. So it's like basically like a stack of potions. 1 boon, 2 boons, 3 boons, 4 boons, more boons. No, just 4, but up to 4 boons. And the stacks get bigger, right? Stacks get bigger. The other thing to keep in mind, so again, every time with the feature champions and any champion you flex, you're earning these fresh fish this event. These are the event tokens. You're earning these over time, 1 every 25 seconds. There's no way to speed that up. And you're going, but Gaarawarr, if there's no way to speed that up, why do you have 2 million bounty contracts? Opening bounty contracts gives event tokens. So a lot of us farm lots and lots of gems and buy lots and lots of chests and open them to get lots and lots of bounty contracts. And blacksmithing contracts and potions but that's the only way to get more. Okay. But you spend these fresh fish in the shop. You go to the actual store, instead of this little window. If we go over here, reveal my weekly offers. You could have it a better time. Oh, these were free. I'll take the free stuff. But if you go to like gem items, go to chests, you'll see here's a pack for Volo. Like there's an entry for Volo and there's an entry for Desmond. This is from a wild offer. Ignore this, but the event bonuses ones are the ones we want to look at. And if we go here, you'll see you can buy packs of chests for champions. It's going to be 7,500 of the event tokens with fresh fish. Get you 2 silvers and 1 gold, which is the great way to get extra gear for your champions. I'm not going to do that for Volo, but that's a great way to get extra gear for your champions. All right. Fleetswake. Also, these rewards up here, these ones on the top are rotating. You see, this one is a flat for Desmond right now, but there's also these rotating ones. They can rotate to Volo or Desmond. This one's got 3 hours left until it rotates. It's going to be, a different offer for a different champion if you have one, if there's one available. And these rotations are queued off who you've flexed. These are the featured skins for right now. This is pretty hot. This is a pretty hot Gale skin. Not gonna lie, this is pretty great. And then there's this skin for Vol. Can you tell? I don't like Volo's a hack, folks. He makes guides and they're absolute garbage. So as a guide maker who prides himself on quality information, Anyway, it's a pirate. It's supposed to be a pirate skin. The artist did a good job. This is a pretty good pirate skin. A pretty good pirate skin. I love this quill though. The familiar. Pretty great. That one I'm down for. So first champions show up. You can track their information here. There's multiple tiers of content for each event champion. In each tier, it's these 3 variants, and you're just doing them, each of them to a higher area goal. So as you can see in tier 1, it's 75. Area 75 is the first completion one for variant 1. Variant 2 is area 125, and variant 3 is 175. But as you can see, these are much higher numbers. One of the ways to think about this is this is kind of like your power progress in the game, or overall progress. This is like any brand new players can do tier 1. If you just started yesterday, you can do tier 1. I promise. Before this event's over, you'll have tier 1 completed. Tier 2 is kind of, you've settled into what I call new game power. So like, or new, early game power. Kind of the equivalent of progress into the early game, but you may have gotten there, with purchases from the shop or whatever. Early game power or just time. This is kind of mid-game power, mid-game progress in tier 3. And tier 4 is late game power or late game progress. Like you either progress through the game to get this kind of power, or you pay to progress faster in the shop by buying chests, right? Yeah, Sean's got it in chat. Showing Volo for only as long as contractually obligated. So when you're doing these, you can do multiple tiers. Each tier comes with rewards. There's buffs for each tier. So if all you can do is tier 1, you're going to get a buff, and maybe that buff, then if you go back in a week or two, with some more gear because you've bought fish or you bought packs with fish, and you can try tier 2. Maybe you get tier 2, and there's also some permanent rewards this time around. Tier 2 has a feat. Tier 3 has a feat. Tier 4 has support pigments. So, there can be nice stuff, nice buffs, nice rewards. You can track all that here. And the same goes for the flex champions. Now, some of the flex champions, if they haven't been a featured champion yet in Events 2.0, it's this new event system, they're not going to have these permanent rewards, but they will have buffs and the other stuff. So like Desmond just has buffs available. I only did, I haven't done any of my stuff for Desmond yet. It says tier 1 is complete. That is because originally in Events 1.0, you just had these 3 variants at the low areas, so it's considered complete because I did those back in the day. Let's look at how this looks on the map. So this is our adventure node. You can see, like, when you hover over these little bubbles, it rotates through whatever you're going to get free. You'll notice there were some corrupted gems there. That's actually part of the active augments for this event. We get free rerolls for those weekly offers you just saw me pop up. Golden offers. So one of my weekly offers is going to have a golden rarity. Empower rewards. There's corrupted gems for doing tier 2 or higher variants, like tiers of variants. And then worth the wait. When Sheila comes out on Wednesday, she'll get double chests from all of her tier 2 and up stuff. So here's what it looks like when you first get in here. It's going to be like this is an adventure, and you won't see any of these variants. Doing the adventure, it'll have area 50 to unlock stuff, and then once you unlock the champion, you'll see the variants. You'll see the full list of variants. So we're going to talk about Volo's variants today, and then we're not going to talk about the others. That's up to you, depending on who you flex. There's like 10 champions to flex, and I forgot that. Yeah. We click on here. Hey, look at this. There's 10 different champions, lots of different bench seats, and everybody always wants to know, like, well, who should I flex? It depends on your progress in the game. When you're newer, your goal is really to qualify for an adventures called Split the Party 1 and Split the Party 2. These require 2 and 3 champions in each bench seat, respectively. So 2 champions in every bench seat for Split the Party 1, 3 for Split the Party 2. So early on, you make your choices based off that. And when there's multiple, like in a seat, we've got Gale, Orkira, and Sasaspi all in seat 1 this event in Flex. Then you can look at like, well, who's going to give me the best, like who's going to give me more pushing power, or who's going to work best with who I have. So if you have questions about that, feel free to ask, but just make sure, like, you tell me, like, well, who are you still missing? Like, I just know that if you're missing someone to get to 2 in every seat or 3 in every seat, you want to pick whoever you have, like whoever's available, and just fill those seats. That's way better for your overall progress than just trying to pick OP champions, because you need the rewards from Split the Party 1 and 2. You get a Modron core for both of those. Modron cores are they allow you to have in a background party, so you can have multiple parties, and then these cores give you automation as well as power progression as you unlock them. There's a whole pipe game, and the sooner you start into that, the better for your overall progress. All right, let's talk about Volo's variants. Gaarawarr's Guide to Volo's Variants. First up variant, Volo's Guide to Unfair Seas. So for this one, you can see the tier goals go from 75 all the way up to 1200. They list these off because there's a thing called multi-tier that's active all the time in events now, where basically if you go in and you have the power, like I do, to just go straight to 1200, you can do all 4 tiers at once, which is what I did. I only did each of these once, but I did all 4 tiers. You can find those runs over on my channel, twitch.tv/Gaarawarr. And click on my name over there. The VOD is up. That was from Wednesday. We did them on Wednesday. So Volo starts in the formation. He can't be moved or removed. Now, when they can't be moved, there's a C here on this formation layout that tells you where that champion is going to be. So Volo's going to be back here in this column. Also, just know that every champion has their own formation layout. So, like, here's what Desmond's look like. Like I don't even know. A small turkey leg. And this is a chevron. So Volo's going to be back here. Only Volo and champions in the 2 columns in front of him can deal damage. So this column and this column are the people that can deal damage. This is basically teaching you how to use Volo. That's how one of his buffs work. We're going to go over that in a minute. Otherwise, there's no real restriction on this one. This is what I call a non-restriction. These are restrictions, but that's a non-restriction because it isn't really changing anything. Volo's Guide to Diversity. Volo starts in the formation. He can be moved, but not removed. So as you see, there's no C here anywhere. There's an X back here. What's that? Elminster joins the formation. Oh no. Oh no. Champions next to Elminster deal no damage as he distracts them by critiquing Volo. I mean, I get it. They put me in the formation. I'd spend my time critiquing Volo too. Yeah. 1 to 2 random enemies spawn with each wave. They don't drop gold, nor do they count towards quest progress. Cool. That's kind of nothing. And this is kind of nothing. I mean, you're losing a champion. You're losing some power by losing a single champion. But, you know, you can get away with not putting your damage dealers in one of these 2 spots. No big deal. So far, not the worst restriction. The next part, the type of enemy that spawns randomly is determined by the area you're in. Okay. With the type changing every 10 areas. Interesting. Now they don't state this here. We're gonna talk about it in a second. It rotates through every enemy type in the game. Enemy types are things like fiends, fae, monstrosities, aberration, elves, or humanoids. Humanoids. Those are enemy types, and they're basically going to rotate through every single enemy type in the game. Why do they do this? He's got an ability based around this. His achievement is also based around this. So this variant should get you that achievement. Just doing the variant should get you the achievement. If you go far enough. You have to go through and spawn 10 different types of enemies, so you need to go to at least area 100 or 110 or somewhere up there, right? But you should be able to do it. At worst, area 150, which everybody should be able to do by the end of the event. Okay, so just know this is the best place to get his achievement done. Volo's Guide to Specializations. Volo starts in the formation. He can be moved but not removed. 1 to 2 relentless undead spawn with each wave. When defeated, they get back up after 5 seconds. They don't drop gold nor count towards quest progress. Okay. This is neat. We call this when they get knocked down, but they get back up again because you're never going to keep them down. We call this a Chumbawamba variant. Now, Ari, I know. We should have called it like 6 years ago. We should have called it a tub thumping variant, but we went with the band name instead of the song name. Deal with it. It's too late to change it now. These are great variants. We named them because these are great variants for getting kill quests done, or kill stacking done for champions like Zorbu, who is available as a flex in this event, who wants to kill lots and lots and lots of specific types of enemies. Undead is one of them, so this is an undead Chumbawamba. We've got more restrictions here. We're going to get to that in a second, but that kind of thing is you're looking for this kind of thing, and a 5-second up down is the fastest up down in the game. It's rare to get a 5-second update. The up down, you usually only get those in event variants. So just know, potentially a place you could do that. But let's move on to the next restriction, though, because this is going to rule out some people. You may only use Hunter champions. Zorbu's one. Hunter means favored champions with a favored foe mechanic. Absolute adversaries affiliation members, like the Dark Urge, who also kill stacks, and or champions with a magic base attack. Okay, these restrictions are based off his specialization choice. This is why they're doing that. They're trying to teach you to build around his specialization. That's what they're doing. Now, I want to be clear. As you can see with Volo, all of his variants and kind of this modern incarnation of events teach you how to use the champion. That is not the case for older champions. That is not... When this game came out, that was not their design strategy for variants in events. So when you flex other champions, their variant restrictions may have nothing to do with their kit. Just be aware, it's the newer, in the last couple of years, champions that are like this. Yeah. All right, let's hop into here, and I will load in. Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! No! Stop it! Stop it! There we go. All right. Did we go back here? Forgot I had my Modron core on. It auto-loaded the formation. All right. Let's load in Volo, who is over here in seat 9. In seat 9. There he is. Let's throw him up here. Because he likes to be in the front, right? Who else are we going to talk about today? Let's talk about Desmond, because I flexed him. Talk about why I flexed him. Then we're going to go with a slot 1. We got 3 seat 1 champions this event. I've got Orkira in her carnival outfit. That is Orkira, though. It's pretty obvious that's Orkira. Who else? Where are they at? Here, right? Dinah here in seat 3. And then we'll do some Black Viper here, and then my boy, they butchered way back here. Narak. We'll talk about Narak today. Narak. All right, so we're going to talk about these 6 champions today. That's a lot of champions. I'm going to get through it as quickly as I can. Yeah. All right. Let's start off with the newest champion to the game, Volo the Hack. Male human wizard, and if some of you are going, wait, what? Wizard? Thought he was a bard. Yeah. This is why he's so bad at writing guides. He's not a bard. He's a wizard. He's not a good wizard. He's an even worse bard. He can't write. His most successful writing, the writing that actually makes him money canonically, is chapbooks. That's right, folks. He writes dime store smut novels. That's how he makes his money. His pen name is probably Anita Hug and Kiss. I don't know. Anyway, Chaotic Good, this is pure support, no affiliation whatsoever, because who'd want to be affiliated with Voldo? Also, yes, this age, I don't know, they went back in time or something, because for this snapshot, you gotta understand, these champions are snapshots. They're not always whatever the current version is, because he is way older than 55. Volo's Guide to Malicious Mockery is the base attack. It's magical. He writes a scathing note, dealing a deep magical cut to the nearest enemy. And the most accurate part of his entire kit, his ultimate, is called Volo's Guide to Righting Wrongs. That's right, folks. He rights wrongs. He doesn't right wrongs. He writes them with his quill. He writes wrong. He lies. Volo's Guide to Lying. That's what his ultimate is. I want to be clear. I want to be clear. He takes out a book and quill and writes for 15 seconds, causing his buffed allies to deal additional bud-based damage for the duration. Buffed allies, we'll get into it's the two columns in front of him. We kind of talked about this a second ago. But everybody in the two columns in front of him does bud-based damage for 15 seconds. This is actually huge. This is an armor destroying ultimate. This means everybody that he's buffing is taking chunks off of armor. Everybody is the DPS when he hits that button. Admittedly, that's great, Volo. You did something right. You did something right. All right. He has a passive ability called Volo's Guide to the Sword Coast. He can be used in any Grand Tour of the Sword Coast campaign, adventure, or variant, even if normally he'd be restricted out. So I call this a party crasher. He goes where he's not invited. Very fitting. So yeah, straight up everywhere in Sword Coast. Volo's Guide to Combat is his main ability. All right. He increases the damage of all champions in the two columns in front of him by an amount that's going to vary a lot, because there's a lot of things that factor into this. Basically, his other abilities all feed into this. So this is the number that you look at to see what kind of buff is Volo. It's really easy. What kind of buff is Volo giving your party? I have no gear. I have an E19 buff. For lore reasons, I'm not a fan of Volo. I think he's a hack. In the game, he's got a big buff, and I cannot lie. He's got big buff potential. Volo's Guide to Questing is one of the reasons why. He increases the effect of his Guide to Combat by 10% for each guide and or collection quest completed, and it stacks multiplicatively. That's the good way. What are guide and collection quests? It's the ones here. It's the ones that show up over here. You hit the C button on your keyboard, you get these. Like, I only have these 6 left. Well, there's more than 6. They're hidden. There's some that are hidden. But all of this kind of stuff. Unlock your patrons. Unlock the familiar collection page. Complete 5 adventures. It's all these. It's all of these, folks. There's over 300 of them currently in the game. They add more fairly regularly as they add more adventures and variants and stuff. They add more of those. So, you're at least going to have 300 stacks of this. It's pretty big. And once you do all that stuff. Now, so that makes Volo a champion who basically rewards you for progress, overall progress in the game. So for new players, your buff is not going to be like this. But as you progress through the game, it's going to get bigger and bigger just because you're playing the game, which is kind of cool. Volo's Guide to Monsters is up next. Volo, we kind of talked about this earlier. Volo counts each type of enemy encountered in the adventure. This is super straightforward. He just has to see them show up on an area. Right now, we've seen beasts and humanoids. So he's encountered both of those. This is an easy mode version of Ven Ursa's, one of Ven Ursa's abilities. Ven Ursa's a bounty hunter. And she stacks up like this when you when you crit on her ultimate on an enemy of a type, she adds them to the list. She got She got done dirty compared to Volo. Volo gets the easy mode. He's just like, oh, there's one. Oh, there's one. Doesn't even have to hit anything. So buffs per enemy encountered stacks multiplicatively. It's a good way. This one's actually going to change. It's going to change with lots of things, like feats, which means, see, now we've gone down. It gets upgrades and it's going to change with feats. I think, or it just changes with feats and items. It has item support. The item and feat support affect this number in the pre-stack value. It's not a post-stack modifier. So multiplicatively stacking is the good way. But when you have item and feat support applying pre-stack, that's the OP way. I call that mathematically overpowered. MOP, mop. I call this a mop ability. Volo mops. He's actually got 2 mops. This is one of them. His specializations are the other one. We'll get to that in a minute. So these are the best types of abilities in the game. They have the highest potential for scaling because of the way the item applies. Doesn't mean they're all going to be good. Not all pre-stack, not all mops are created equal, but yeah. Volo's Guide to Righting Wrongs, we talked about that. That's the ultimate. Volo's Guide to Rapid Retreats. This is causing some problems for some people. So let's talk about what's going on so you understand how Volo could create problems for you in your formation. If a champion in the column in front of Volo is defeated, they die. The formation immediately retreats to the previous area. So now Volo's not a tank, so we're not going to run into issues there. And he shouldn't be right behind the tank line unless your DPS is the tank, I guess. Usually he should be back a bit, so maybe don't have him hit your tank line, and then if the tank dies under a normal situation, you don't immediately retreat. But here's the thing. If you're dealing with enemies who can kill people randomly in the formation, like, I don't know, our favorite enemy, the Devourer, who literally insta-kills one of your party, random, when he walks onto the screen. Volo could just instantly send you back if it's in the 2 columns ahead of him. Or in the column ahead of him. That's a problem. Because the Devourer, enemies like the Devourer are designed for you to automatically lose a champion. So you could run into issues with Volo because of this. Upon returning to the area of it's supposed to be a good thing, because upon returning to the area of their near defeat, the effect of Volo's Guide to Combat is increased by 1,000%. They're like, hey, take an EO3 buff to try to defeat what just defeated you. They're trying to do that. Didn't. It's having some issues. There's been reports of some issues, and they're going to keep an eye on it, but they're not going to change anything right away. So just be aware. All right, spec choices. All of these function the same way. They're all going to buff you multiplicatively based off the number of each type of a specific thing that they're tracking. So we have spirits inspectors, brain-eating tadpoles, and magical things, right? So spirits inspectors, this is for Volo gains a hunter role, and undead become his favored foe. So he gets some added functionality here. And then you buff 200% for each champion in the formation with the hunter role. So this is kind of a hunter/favored foe specific situation. Braiding and tadpoles, you guessed it. This is Ceramorphosis stacks. So this is when you're going to use Volo with absolute adversaries to give them, a buff. He doesn't have a tadpole currently. They'd have to add that by a feat if they want to give him one. But he's giving you buffs based off how many tadpoles are in the formation. And then magical, super easy. Anyone in the formation with a magic-based attack. So these are real straightforward. Build out your party around one of these, ideally. Or if you're just adding them in randomly, then pick the largest number. Right? That's what you're looking to do, because this one it truly is about, how many are there. I think that's it for Volo. Yeah. Let's talk about feats, and then I'm going to show you how to gear up a brand new champion. So Feats, we've got increased damage roll champions. We've got combat. We've got questing. All the way up to 80. We've got monsters. Now, monsters are the big ones. You're going to want to throw the monster ones in because those are the pre-stack ones. We got rapid retreats. Again, spec choices. They only give us a 20, which is odd. I feel like they're going to probably add in an epic 40 or 80. Like spec choices, we need spec choices. They have a feat, strength feat. This is going to qualify Volo for Zariel, patron Zariel. And then this one is shop only at the moment for 90 days, but it is going to increase the number of columns he buffs by 1. So instead of 2 columns in front, it'd be 3, which is a big deal for certain things like Artemis formations and other stuff where you want that buff to cover as many people as possible. All right, let's talk about gearing up real quick, and then we're gonna do a quick run through the rest of these featured champions. So, when you get a new champion in an event, and you're new, this is for newer players. I want to be very clear because some people get all nitpicky about this. This is the efficient way for new players to get a functionally geared champion. Okay. More experienced players, there's some real like crunchy ways to maximize stuff, but newer players, early game, the goal that you're shooting for is blue or better gear, and you can guarantee yourself 5 blues and 1 purple using this method. And what you want to do is you want to come over here to your chests, and you want to start with Electrum chests. Okay. Electrums are ones you get from streams like this. I take, when we got Fleetswake, 2025, part 1. Copy, paste it in. All right. When you open these, they're going to drop gear for any champion you own. I have all of them. There's over 140. But because Volo has no gear, he's going to act like a magnet, and he's going to attract the gear that drops. Boom. It can Electrums can drop white or greens and blues, but we're really just focusing on the whites and the greens. And we want to get everything to green as quickly as possible first, before we go anywhere near his gold chest. Well, I've got 2 greens. If we hit dupe, wow, we're doing real well today. Okay, there's a white. All right. Once we get, we got a blue. That was real lucky. And there's okay, 1 more. 6 chests should have got me all the gear slots, but we're getting some dupes on top of whites and greens. Is that it? There it is. Okay. So now I've got gear in all of his item slots. Now, almost all of them are green. I need to go back and I need to get greens for these 2. Sean's like, this only works when your other champions are rare gear or higher. Well, green, all we care about is green gear or higher. I want to be very clear. All we care about is green gear or higher. Blue, yeah, yes, because they will go everywhere else. But this is what you do with your start off with Electrums, however many Electrums you have, and keep doing this until you run out of Electrums or your gear on the new champion is green or better. You were getting some dupes. Dupes could go to any champion, but for some reason they're still going to Volo, which is interesting. There's one to someone else. But we're really now I'm hunting for greens. There's another green. Now, if you run out of these, like let's say I ran out and I'm still missing this one. Used all your Electrums. You're still missing a green here. Then you want to come over to the shop. You want to go to chests. You want to buy a single pack from Volo. Come over here, and then, and only then, would you open the silvers if you ran out of Electrums to try to fill in, to try to get, because they'll drop those greens too. They'll drop more cards. No, we didn't get it, but you're trying to fill in the missing green, right? Like there it is. Okay, so let's say we got that off the silver. Great. Great. At this point, green or better, now you can start opening your gold chests. You can say, if you had Electrums left over, like I do, you could save them for Sheila next week, right? Or for the next new champion, you unlock one of the flex champions. But now we're going to open gold chests. Now, because we got lucky here, we're only going to need 4 gold chests to get us to a functional champion. They're right here. So all of these, the way gold chests work is they're guaranteed to give you a blue card, and they're guaranteed to give you an upgraded piece of gear. The blue isn't guaranteed to be the upgrade, but because we got to green already, the blue is going to be the guaranteed upgrade. Purples are utterly random. So we're at least guaranteed to get a blue on all of these. Blue. A blue or better. I got an epic. I got lucky. Instead of the blue, it gave me the epic. We'll take it. Blue. Notice I got a duplicate. Because, again, you're guaranteed to get a blue. The blue also happened to be the upgrade, right? And blue. I think that's everything. It is. So, because I got lucky with some Electrums, I ended up getting blue or better in 4 gold chests, but the most it's going to take is 6 gold chests, which is everybody can get 6 gold chests in an event. You're going to get lots of Electrums, but from streams like this, from the codes in the Discord, go to the hashtag combinations channel. And otherwise, you can spend your fish on stuff to help you get to greens from packs from the shop. But everybody that ends an event should end up with every champion at least looking like this. And this is entirely functional to play with when you're new. Okay. So let's talk about, well, hold on. Let's just go ahead and open up the rest of his chests just so they're out of the way. All right, let's talk about Vola's gear. So first up, damage all champions item. Then we get a guide to combat. Again, this is not a multiplicatively stacking. It's just a buff. It's okay. But when we can add, because it gets so big when you add the multiplier, it can be solid. So fill in some of the other feat slots with that once you go for the others. Guide to questing. Monsters, this is the pre-stack item, so this is one of the big items you want. And specializations, this is the other big item you want. So for guilding purposes, you're trying to get these, or even for epics, like I got one of those epics. This one would be the other one you go for. And then the ultimate cooldown. Now this actually, again, it would be nice to have his ultimate reduced as much as possible, because it applies bud-based damage. So there, yeah, that's probably fine. So that's Volo. All right, let's talk about everybody else. Seat 1, Orkira. Orkira is the queen of debuffs. Basically, she is a healing support debuff, female Dragonborn cleric, member of the Heroes of the Plains. It's a full formation. Got a good alignment. Base attack is Burning Hands. She does a small AoE cone of fire to enemies, and that's important that it's a cone and an AoE because of the way the rest of her kit works. First ability, Lesser Restoration. She heals non-adjacent damaged champions every second. So you don't really want her in the middle of a formation. You want her like all the way in an edge in a corner, and then she'll heal anybody that's taken damage that isn't adjacent to her. Okay. So don't put her adjacent to your tanks. Elemental Fire. Whenever Orkira damages an enemy, this is where this cone comes in, they receive a stack of Elemental Fire, taking 10% of her damage, which is nothing. It doesn't matter. That only matters on hit-based enemies, which is very few of those. For 15 seconds. So there's a 15-second dot. They also, anybody lit up like that, receives more damage from all attacks. And this is a big number. So this is a modifiable number, multiplicatively stacking. So this is her debuff. Stacks up to 10 times. Oh no, this is additively stacking, that's right. But it is a pre-stack multiplier. Modifier. Additively stacks up to 10 times. This is her big debuff. Attempting to add another stack resets the cooldown of all stacks. So basically, once you get it on, it will stay on. Which is cool. This is all about to get better, because the healing ability and the debuff link themselves together with Healing Flame. Increases the effect of Elemental Fire, the debuff, by 100% for each order of magnitude. That's the number after the E in scientific notation. Worth of effective healing done with lesser restoration on the current run. The more she heals in a run, the stronger her debuff gets. This has led to something in the past that we call, you can still do it today, called Orkira stacking, where you build a formation. Once you're towards the end of your run, near your wall, you go back to area 1, you build a formation that's built around boosting her healing through the roof onto one party member, Artemis, so that she gets the maximum debuff possible. This is why she's the queen of debuffs. It's a big deal. This little synergy effect is a big deal. And because of that, when we deal with specializations, there's really you really want to go with one spec first. She's got Breath of the Phoenix and Tailfeather of the Phoenix. You want to go Tailfeather because it increases the effect of Lesser Restoration by 100%. So she's doubling her healing. Also, Lesser Restoration will now heal undamaged champions, so you can build this effect up constantly. And Healing Flame will count 1% of this non-effective healing as well. So it's going to count. You'll heal everybody constantly, and it's going to count that towards her overall amount. This is what lets you do Orkira stacking. Now, once you've maximized it, you could change your spec into Breath of the Phoenix, which increases the size of her AoE cone for her base attack and applies multiple stacks at once. Okay, but just easy mode, right hand spec, shake your tail feather, and rock Orkira. Self-sacrifice. This is a big wall. Basically, if someone's about to die that she's healing, she'll jump up and take their place. She trades places with them. It's not great because then she just dies. But at that point, you're getting near your wall and there's a problem. It might, sometimes it's okay and you kill things anyway, but most of the time her ultimate is Radiance of the Phoenix. Basically debuffs the entire screen, and gives them the elemental stacks. Let's show this. There we go. Pretty great. I forgot to hit Volo's ultimate. I don't think I've used it yet in the game. What does it look like? He's already got a book and quill out. So what does this do? Nothing. He just and then that's it. And then he just stays right there. He just does that little thing every now and then. All right. Nothing really changes about Volo. All right, next up. Items. Pair damage all champions items. Lesser Restoration. That's her healing, which increases her debuff. Elemental Fire. That's the debuff. Healing Flame increases the debuff based off the healing. All three of these are great. And then ultimate cooldown. Feats are all the things you'd want. Damage all champions. She's got a glitch feat to count as a half elf. She got another one to count as an Aarakocra, and it changes her alignment to lawful evil. She got Lesser Restoration stuff to max out the healing so that you max out your debuff stuff, and then you got debuff stuff, and then the debuff maxer. It's all debuffs down here, folks. It's all debuffs down here. Let's talk about Dynahair. Bouncing here and there and everywhere. Wait. No, that's not the right IP. Female human wizard, lawful good, support speed hunter. So she's one of those favored foe mechanic champions. She's a member of the Heroes of Baldur's Gate, which is a catch-all for basically anyone that ever lived in Baldur's Gate. Not counting the absolute adversaries. Her base attack is ranged. It's an old school sling. They went back to the old day where they're rocking a sling for the wizard. Because they'd use up their spell slots. So attacks the closest enemy with their sling. And then her ultimate is I believe it changes, and right now it's Fireball. Wait, doesn't it change? Yeah. It engulfs the entire screen, one ultimate, and then I think it's gonna it rotates now. Lightning Bolt. She's got a rotating ultimate, but big deal damage. Rotating ultimate. Fireball is just whole screen. This is a line based. Lightning Bolt's a line. So, first ability, the Resolve of Rashomon. Dynahair increases the damage of all champions in the formation with a con of 15 plus. So, restrictive out of the gate. She's only going to buff champions who have high constitution. And it's 400% for each champion affected by the ability. So she wants everybody in the party to be a high constitution. It stacks multiplicatively, so you're rewarded for doing this. But yeah, so super restrictive, not super new player friendly, because not everybody's going to have Con 15, a lot of Con 15 plus that are strong, right? Enemy of Thay. Humanoid enemies are Dynahair's favored foe. So this is her hunter mechanic. There's a 50% chance to that an additional red wizard spawns with each wave in non-boss areas. This is her creating her favored foe, so that, you know, on not there it was on non-boss areas, she's always going to have a favored foe effect going on. This kind of like enemy creation, like these are rare, but you can combine these types of people with someone like Volo who's tracking those if there aren't that type of enemy in an adventure. Spoils of War. All favored foes have a 400% chance to drop double quest items or count for double quest progress. This is her speed effect. So humanoids, well, it says all favored foes, but hers are humanoids. If she's in a party, like if we had spec Volo for undead, then humanoids and undead would both drop, would both give extra credit. Okay. And this number can vary, I believe. Yeah. Yeah, I've got it. There's an item for that. Spoils of War item. Here we go. Mine's capped, so that's why it's 400%. It takes quite a bit to get her to her cap. The ultimate, again, fireball or lightning, it alternates. Defensive position. Dynahair increases the bonus of the resolve of Rashomon by 20% each time an ally is attacked. So as you get deeper in an adventure and your tanks are getting attacked, which is most of the time how that's going to work, she's going to start ramping up a buff. Get a maximum of 100 stacks, and they apply multiplicatively. So I think it stacks additively and applies multiplicatively. It doesn't say, which is odd. Nope, stacks multiplicatively. Good. That's the good way. Doesn't say over here, which is odd. They reset when you change an area, though. So it's basically an in-area ramping effect. So the harder it is to beat an area, the more she's going to buff you. If Minsk is in the formation, the base effect is buffed by quite a lot. So it gets even better. Dynahair is made to be used with Minsk. Minsk is a core champion. Boo is the actual champion. Minsk is the mount, but they always just call them Minsk. The Unapproachable East. Champions in the frontmost column of the formation, the tanking column is what we usually refer to that as, have their overwhelm increased to 25 if it wasn't already higher. This is a way to help you use champions that maybe, if you're in a restriction where you don't have tanks, because overwhelm is a tanking stat, it's going to make the front line tanky. Or if they had a low overwhelm tank, some tanks are like 20 overwhelm, they get a little bit of a bonus from Dynahair. And this is going to come in with another one of her things, one of her specializations. Circle Magic, Iron Lord's Justice, or Loyal Bodyguard. So these are functionality changes. So Circle Magic, champions that are adjacent to Dynahair get +1 to their con. This can help people, like if they're at 14, and she wants 15, everyone adjacent to her gets +1 and thus qualifies now. And also buffs Resolve of Rashomon. Iron Lord's Justice, champions deal more damage against favored foes. So if you're going heavy hunter formation, Iron Lord's Justice. Loyal Bodyguard is the Minsk combo synergy pack. Dynahair teaches Minsk how to be a tank. Minsk is not a tank, but she makes him one. He gains the tanking role and is eligible for this adventure, which means she is what I call a party bus. She can bring someone along. Party Crasher's party bus. She's a party bus. She brings a friend to the party. She's invited to the party. She brings a friend that normally wouldn't be able to go. So if Dynahair qualifies for something, you can always have Minsk available, which means you always have a tank available. Right? His base health increases by 200% and then further increases by 75% for every 50 areas completed in the current adventure up to area 600. That's to give him health stack. Because unless you're a tank, a normal tank, you don't get health as you level. All other champions' health is increased by 25% of Minsk's max health. That's the health share feature. which, normally is a function of tanks, right? So if we throw in Minsk now, he's in his Boo outfit. Put him up front. Oh, that's not Minsk. That's Minsk. He's pretending he's Boo. He's now a DPS tanking support speed hunter. And he has a bunch of health because of that. And he has 35 overwhelm for reasons we'll get to. But he would be at 25 naturally. Okay. So this is kind of a little extra functionality for our friend Minsk. All right. That's it. That's her build arounds. Item wise, damage all champions, resolve of rationment, spoils of war. This is the speed item. Defensive position, her spec choices, and then ultimate cooldown. The feats get a little wild. It's damage of all champions. She can get a tadpole, Ceramorphosis. So she can help out an absolute adversaries team. You can increase the unapproachable east by 10. That's how their overwhelm was 35. I had that slotted. So when I'm doing that, Minsk has a high overwhelm. Resolve of Rashomon, spoils of war, so we can put in feats to make the stuff work better. That's the speed effect. Defensive positioning, spec choices, charisma. This is again for anytime you see strength that's going to take it to 10, or charisma that's going to take it to 13. Zariel. That's a Zariel thing. Let's talk about Desmond. We talked about Desmond recently in Gaarawarr's Guide to Dead Champions, because Desmond loves dead champions. Male, human ranger, chaotic good, support and control from the Black Dice Society. This is a complete formation. His base attack is actually both melee and range, because he shoots the closest enemy with his hand crossbow, knocking them back a bit. There's stuff. He's a little odd. Noble Heart is his main buff. He buffs adjacent champions. So when you're placing Desmond, that's what you got to remember. Howl at the Moon. He synergizes with moon phases, not in the real world. Right here, he's got a moon icon, and his moon phases change. Howl at the Moon reduces the attack cooldown of himself and adjacent champions. Closer to the full moon, the more the cooldown is reduced. So it's a variable attack speed reduction. Devotion in Dark Times. The dark side of the moon increases the buff that he gives out. So, if it's a new moon, his buff is max. So he goes from attacking faster to buffing more. And it's going to constantly vary. Real world would have been wild. Yeah, it wouldn't have been usable at all. But people always ask. Somebody always asks. Effects, specializations affect this. So double time speeds up the cycle of the moon. And he uses the ultimate faster because his ultimate is keyed off of the moon phases. We'll talk about that. Embrace the beast and strengthen numbers. Basically, do you want faster attack speed? You embrace the beast. Do you want to buff more? You strengthen numbers. We're going to go double time on the moon phases to show what's going on with Unleash the Beast. This is his ultimate. He transforms into a werewolf form and leaps at the enemy with the most hit points. Swipes with both claws, then bites them. So 3 hits. Then returns to the formation and back to human form. Noble Heart, his buff, gets a 300% increase for 30 seconds. Now, here's the thing. It's 120-second cooldown. But he can get his ultimate back. Basically, based on the effect of the moon stages. So I just hit it. Did I hit it at the exact wrong time? Basically, based off the way the moon changes, he can get his ultimate. If you hit it at the right time, I think I did it at the exact wrong time. Basically it's going to cool down faster. So we did this at double time. Instead of it being a 120-second cooldown, it went to 60-second cooldown because we basically just have to get to a new moon for him, or get to the full moon. If I had done it right before the full moon, I could have hit it and then hit it again. But instead, we've got to wait a minute for it to come around again. So that's what you're trying to do with his ultimate if you want to use his ultimate a lot. Running with the pack, he can increase his buff based off lycanthrope. So they use the wrong term here, because a lycanthrope is a werewolf. But lycanthropes means any kind of shape changer. So that's like a Zaka. They're in the formation Druids and Black Dice Society champions. So he really wants to build around Black Dice Society. ideally. Lament the Lost is the one that makes is why he was kind of the key of Gaarawarr's Guide to Dead Champions, and what makes him a great combo with Cass. Increases the damage of all champions by a number that varies with pre-stack with an item that's pre-stack. Stacks multiplicatively for each slot in the formation that contains a dead or undead champion, or is taken up by an escort character or object. So anytime you have like there's 2 or more escort slots taken up in the formation, Desmond is usually then who I go to. It's why I highly recommend him as a flex champion in this event, because it's a big deal. It's a big deal. And you can combine like escorts with dead undead champions to get an even bigger buff and to get lots of stacks. Right. This is a huge build around, and it's what lets me. Anytime you have those variants where you got to get to like 1600, event variant 1600, but there's like 3 escorts. I'm running Desmond to get by that, and I bumped up his item levels. I had him at 1,000. I bumped him up to 2,000, just so I have even more power when I want to use him in that scenario, because it's worth it. Late game item level. Damage all champions items, Noble Heart, running with the pack, Lament the Lost. This is the big one. This is the one you want to get gilded and lots of item levels on. And then ultimate attack damage. Feat wise, damage all champions. You got some attack speed stuff. You got the buffs and the abilities. There isn't anything that really jumps out. Lament the Lost are the one you want though, because again, that's how I'm usually building him. And then whatever other big buff you want to go with that, right? All right, let's talk about the Black Viper. Black Viper is a pure DPS champion, female human rogue, chaotic neutral, unaffiliated. Base attack is melee. She just attacks a random enemy with her dagger. She is a jewel thief. She has a 25% chance that a red gem, as opposed to a green gem, will drop from a boss loot sack. This is the only way you get red gems in this game is for Black Viper. She's the only one that cares about them. Each red gem collected in the current adventure grants a 10% damage bonus, stacking multiplicatively. So the more gems you collect in an adventure, thus, the more bosses you go through and actually get this to trigger, the more damage she's going to do. But on top of that, she permanently stacks her numbers. She counts the number of red gems she's collected across all adventures, and there's some additional bonuses that are going to kick in based off reaching certain thresholds. So at 10, her Aura of Infamy buff now affects buffs from Rangers and well, okay, let's talk about the other things because we're not there yet. She's going to buff her Aura of Infamy and add some extra classes. She's going to increase her max stacks of distracted foes, which is another thing, by 5, and increase the damage per stack by 100%. She's going to increase the effect of her gear by 25%. Except for the cooldown reduction one. And then she's got a bunch of double damage ones because they didn't know what else to do. All right. Sneak attack. Black Viper deals a bunch more damage the first time she attacks an enemy. She likes to one-shot things. Aura of Infamy. All positional formation abilities that she receives from Warlocks, Rangers, Rogues, and Bards. Now remember, 2 of these were added by those red gem stacks, are buffed. So this is kind of like a mini Artemis. If you've used Artemis, you get positional formation abilities, and then from certain people, they're buffed. Okay, it's not as strong as Artemis. She does get some extra attacks as she levels. Distracted foes. When other champions are attacked, so when your tanks or your tank line's getting hit, or in a situation like with the Kraken where your whole party could get hit, Black Viper deals more damage on her next attack, and that can stack up to 10 times. So if for whatever reason she's attacking real slow, or everybody's just getting pounded on by a bunch of enemies, she gets all these stacks and you get a bunch more damage. Spec choices. You can either assassinate or collect red gems. So assassinate, she can sneak attack enemies on her first 2 attacks against them, so you don't have to one-shot them. And she attacks a half a second faster after she sneak attacks. Collector tends to be where I go. So this increases the drop chance for red gems to 33% instead of 25%. So 1 in 4 to 1 in 3. And increases the current adventure damage bonus by 2.5% per gem. So more damage. But remember, the more red gems you get, the more damage you get. So this is just a damage. This is the damage spec. So I always just run that. And then I hope I one-shot everything. And that's it. Item-wise, pair of self-damage items, because she only cares about herself. Aura of Infamy, Sneak Attack, Damage of All Champions, because they ran out of stuff to give her, and they're like, well, I guess she can buff others too, but she's not a support. Don't use her as one. And then Ultimate Cooldown. Feat-wise, she's got a short feat list because she's an old champion. Self-damage, damage all champions, self-damage. I don't even know why she has these. Self-damage, she's got a strength +1, just because this is an old kit, so this doesn't even qualify you for Zerial. Who knows what that gets you for? Maybe it's a variant restriction or something. Int +2 to qualify for Strahd, though. Okay, she's an older champion in need of a rework. All right, let's talk about Narak. Male Githzerai Monk, lawful neutral, support, debuff, control. Once upon a time, he was a DPS, and they took that away from him. I'm proving it by showing you a DPS pigment. That's that black line, the skull. He was a DPS, and then they reworked him. My boy, I was a Narak DPS. I was a Narak main. I did Narak DPS. Took it away from him. Support, debuff, and control, unaffiliated. Naginata is his base attack. He attacks the nearest enemy with his Kinsai weapon. God, I gotta get into his ultimate, don't I? All right, Way of the Kinsai. We'll get there. Increase the damage of all champions in the columns in front of and behind him. So he either needs to be in front of or behind the DPS. Okay, by variable amount. Ultimate. I'm going to preface this by saying Narak is not in a Narak's not in the greatest place, in my opinion. The rest of his kit is built around his ultimate, and you being able to use his ultimate. And his ultimate is unfriendly because it is like a quick time event in a game that has lag. Idle Champions just has like all the math going on when you're pushing deep. It creates a lot of lag. And trying to hit these buttons at the right times is bad. It's an accessibility issue. In general, but especially when you're dealing with lag. So here's what has to happen. Key blast. Narak blasts a random enemy and gains key points. Reactivate when the blue ring fills to the orange area to blast another enemy and gain additional key points. So the way you build key points is to try to play this mini game. You have to turn off auto progress, because if you try it while you're killing things and you move to a next area, it cancels everything. And you lose your progress and you have to wait for the ultimate to cool down. I have this max that's at a 260 second timer. Okay. Here's what it looks like. Watch over his head. It's right over here. He's right here. Right here in the middle, okay? Are you ready? I'm trying to make this obvious because we're only going to get one shot at this. Here's what it looks like. These little blue bars fill up and you got to hit the button again when it gets into the gold area. And you see the number in the middle is how many stacks I've earned. Oh, I got to 30. Okay. 30 is the most you can get on one ultimate. 60 is the cap, though. How does that work? Dungeon Master. Dungeon Master's ultimate will reset someone else's ultimate. So you use Narak, you get a perfect minigame. Somehow, the lag. I'm doing this on a low level. I don't have any lag on a low level, but this is meant to be done basically in a boss fight, where you probably have more lag. Swap in Dungeon Master, do a perfect Narak ultimate, then hit Dungeon Master's ultimate, then immediately do another perfect Narak ultimate. No, Sean, stop lying in my chat. I'm going to call this out specifically. That is no. This is part of the problem. A lot of people will say what Sean just put in chat, and I'm really upset. But I guess this is good because now I get to explain to people why this is bad. Sean just said, or keep Narak at level 80. Here's the thing. If you keep Narak at 80, He doesn't get to the ability at 120 that starts consuming key points. Okay. And at 80, we'll talk about his 80 ability. Based on the maximum number of key points Narak has had at one time during this adventure, so this is a high watermark, Way of the Kinsai is increased by 100% for each of those key points, stacking multiplicatively. He can have 60 at once. Yeah, the mod just got modded. Oh yeah, big time. Because this is bad. This is why people don't think there's a problem with Narak, and there's a big problem with Narak, and they're because people just tell them, oh, just keep it at 80. Legitimately angry. This is the only ability keeping it 80 effects. You basically get this, but you don't get any of his upgrades. You stop at 80, you get it to 60 just by hitting the ultimate until it's there, then you level him up. That's what people do for this one ability. But here's why that's actually garbage advice. And here's why Narak's broken. Stunning Strike. When Narak has at least one key point, before he attacks, consume a key point, stun all enemies he hits for 3 seconds. I know he's single target, but he has a way to AoE. Affected enemies take 50% more damage, a debuff, for each key point he has, stacking multiplicatively. He has a multiplicatively stacking debuff with 60 stacks at max. And everyone that tells you, you're fine, just get him to stop at level 80, get him to 60, and then move on and ignore it, is ignoring this entire ability, which is half of his damage contribution, because this is a solid debuff. They're basically telling you, just ignore half of his kit. And when that comes from Sean, when that comes from you, basically this is why he is a broken champion and why they need to fix this whole ultimate debacle. They've tried to bandage it. Yeah, there's some feats now. I don't have them. Here, we can get him to 30. You can stick him permanently at 30. You can also stick him permanently at like 15, I think. Yeah. 15 and 30. Garbage solutions. We need a functional way to build his key stacks and maintain his key stacks. So just know if you pick Narak, a lot of people are going to tell you, well, he's got great buffs. Well, high item levels, this is still a solid buff on its own, but you ignore half of his kit. Half of his kit. It's a bit ridiculous. If you just stop at 80, you can't. You can't do that. Then the Stunning Strike never comes into play. I was mad when this came out. I asked forever for them to fix it. I explained how inaccessible it was. It took them a year to address it, and all we got was a band-aid. I am still angry. I am still bitter. I'm still waiting. All right. Can you tell? Can you tell? All right, Kinsei Cleave. This is every third attack. He cleaves multiple enemies, so he does have an AoE, so that stun can affect a group. Spec choices. Githzerai Focus versus Githzerai Agility. Githzerai Focus used to be the big thing everybody used Narak for. They now made it, it was wisdom based. They now gave you a wisdom option, a dex option. They nerfed it a bit, so it doesn't work the way it used to. It's basically, it increases the potency of most positional formation abilities, because they can't do all of them, because that would break the game. Of adjacent champions, either Wisdom 14 or higher, which is Githzerai Focus, or Dex 16 or higher, which is Agility. These are pretty big if they hit the right things. It's just now it's positional formation abilities. It used to just be all formation abilities. So its functionality has been greatly reduced. But it's still, if you're playing with positional formation abilities, a big deal. Can be a big deal. Perfect Self. When Narak has no key points, he reduces his ultimate cooldown by 1 second each time he attacks, and an additional 4 seconds each time he hits a boss creature. This is so you can get the minigame back. Item-wise, pair of damage all champions, Way of the Kinsai, Stunning Strike. So he's got, he has the things you want to get the items on. ultimate attack damage, and then his spec choice. Feats. Damage all champions feats. Again, these weird, let's just stick him at a certain number of key points ones. This 15 is garbage. The 30 is... That's where there's a reason I didn't get it. He can get a tadpole. So you can use him with absolute adversaries. Way of the Kinsai, Keymaster, Stunning Strike, spec choices. He's got an int +1 for Strahd. He's got a charisma +2 for Zariel. There you go. That's everybody, folks. That's everybody we're covering today. We're going to take a short musical break. We'll come back with questions. We have a lot of questions. This is awesome. I'm going to try to get through all this. The song we're going on the break with is The Viper's Fangs, the song for Black Viper. Enjoy.
Overcast underneath the moonlight, a shadow creeps at the edge of sight. Pockets pick, being noble all night. All gold shine, same under the lamplight. Lady charm, lady skill, picking your pockets, going in for the kill. Lady style, lady class, dancing a ball, kicking your ass. Feel the bitter bite of the viper's fangs tonight. Did you hear about that theft so rash? So bold and so brazen, done with such panache. I heard it was Black Viper on a crime spree. I'm a little parched, please pass the tea. A lady charm, a lady skill, picking your pockets, going in for the kill. A lady style, a lady class, dancing a ball, kicking your ass. Feel the bitter bite of the viper's fangs tonight. First steps from a legend, dark devious stain. Took the mask, but built up my own fame. Still from those I blamed, tore down my family's name. So all I wanna do is play my game. Lady charm, lady skill, kicking your pockets, going in for the kill. Lady style, lady class, dancing a ball and kicking your ass. Feel the bitter bite of the viper's fangs tonight.
I love that song. All right. I'm going to go through and hit up the questions. We got a lot of them. I got a page full of them here. Let me try to get the stuff that's on topic first. Mr. Blonde asks, is it worth the chest involved to gear up Volo? I know you're asking me sarcastically because I have roleplay beef with Vola. But Vola can throw out a solid buff. Look, I just threw chests to give him his threw like 100 chests on him. He's got full epic. I'm not putting legendaries on him. I refuse. Just for personal reasons. You all can. Again, he's a fully functional champion. But I want to show you that Vola's Guide to Combat is now an E41 buff for me. With a couple hundred item levels through here. Now, it did get 390, almost 400 on the monsters one, but a couple hundred item levels, some feats, some basic feats, and then I have, you know, I have 300 of the 307 of the quests done. And it's at E41. Now, I don't even have, I've only got 6 monsters. There's 6 monster types currently. There's 14, so this could stack up even higher. And this stacks multiplicatively. So yeah, he's got a big buff. He's got a big buff. But big buff potential. Let me put it that way. And Jarlaxle follows up with, considering the huge buff he's providing, have you changed your opinion about him? No, he's still a hack. Because I'm not talking about his buffs. I'm talking about him as a guide creator. He's a hack. Tabulin just started a couple days ago. Welcome to the game. I have Hitch, awesome. Narak, Jingsao, and Vola. Is Vola's variant 3 simply impossible for me to do? After a painful 15 minutes, I barely got to Area 5. I mean, if you don't have the champions that are usable, if you can't feel the formation, then it's going to be super problematic, I guess. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Hunters, we have a decent... I thought we had a decent number of hunters. Rolls. Hunters. So you're going to have... Yeah, you'd have Minsk as a brand new player. You'd have Volo. You got Minsk and Volo. Yeah, so... well, that's just one. So hunters, and then we add... let me look at like absolute adversaries. You're not going to have any of those if you just started. Magic base attack. You'd have Celeste. So there's 3. Ashara. Delina. You'd run Delina DPS probably in that scenario. I feel like you've got a decent amount. I think the issue is if you're done at Area 5, I feel like your issue is favor and not champions. So favor is the big stick you hit things with in an event when you're brand new. And you shouldn't be attempting variant 3 without 5 EO8 favor. We use scientific notation in this house, so it's easier to understand, like, when you get to these numbers. 5 EO8 is 500 million favor. If you're not even remotely near that, that's the problem. That's the actual problem. And what you need to do then is do a... Like, if it's not showing as green, if it doesn't show as green, you should never do a variant that does that, you know, early on. You shouldn't do a variant that doesn't show as difficulty easy green. For this one, you need 5 EO8 or 500 million favor to start. And if you don't have that, you go back and you do a free play and you push deep for favor. If you need help with formations, you can ask in the community, like on Discord or whatever. So you have E15 favor, but can't survive the waves. You're not leveling up your okay. You're not leveling up your click damage. You're not leveling up your click damage. So when you have one of the things favor lets you do is you throw a familiar or 2 on the field, whatever you got, and then you level up your click damage early to kill enemies without champions. And that lets you get through, like, here, let me Show you how this works. All the way back. So whatever your click damage level is how see how we're killing with our familiars. Whatever your click damage level with is at least as far as you can level in terms of areas and kill with just your familiars. But again, I feel like you've got, starting off, you'll have Celeste in seat 2. She's got a slow attack speed though. Ashara in 6, which much better. Well, you know, she's got multi-attack, so you're gonna have a little bit. So yeah, you're not able. So until you can get up, until you can start getting more champions on the board, you gotta use your click damage to kill. Or if you don't want to use click damage, you can pop a fire breath potion. Yeah. The respawning enemies every 5 seconds wipes my formation before I finish the area quest kills. Huh. I don't know then. I don't know. I tell you what, I have an alt account that I have no gear on. And next week on my channel, on my stream over here. Now just Ashara. They're only gonna have Ashara. They're brand new. Over on my channel, if I can remember, I will try to do it. I will try to do it on that account. With a restricted, like kind of a new player setup, and see what happens. Yeah, you're not going to have any tanks. Which actually means, honestly, you know, you might want to flex Dynahair so that Minsk can become your tank. Oh yeah, Sean also has formation save on Wednesdays. So basically, you literally submit your account, and he tries to do stuff with your account. Yeah, I mean, it could be that they just missed that, and maybe they should have made 4 champions available as well, because then you'd have some tanks. I don't know. Yeah, it's difficult. You know, on my account, it's difficult for me to look at that and go, "Oh, well, yeah." Because obviously, not an issue for me, but I can test it on my other account next week. Foolish Genius, will this be the only time you use Volo on stream? Probably. Lurking Rider, with the Adolescent Kraken as the Area 50 boss for Fleetswake, do you consider this one of the tougher events for brand new players to experience? Not really. I think the event with the Devourer is worse. Any event with an armored enemy is worse. God, the one with the Frost Giant is the absolute worst. The Adolescent Kraken is actually really straightforward. Let's use this as a moment to talk about the Adolescent Kraken. Let's get cracking, folks. People have issues with this boss. Let's describe what's going on here. We have a constant, permanent stream of enemies coming in. We have tentacles. Tentacles there. Okay. There we go. Tentacles that come up. They have their own health. And then you have the boss. And the boss, if we hover over the health, you'll see it's segmented health. But this isn't armored. And we know this because when we hover over it, we see that it's only got like 50 health. So that means anybody can remove a segment. Now, so there's a couple challenges going on. So this means you can, as long as you're hitting the boss, you can even click on it once every 5 seconds. See, if I click more, it doesn't remove a segment. But once every 5 seconds, we can remove a segment. So there's 3 things you need to manage here. One is these trash enemies, right? Which, you know, familiars with a fire breath potion is a great way to manage that. Look at that. They're all gone. Go back up here. So even a tiny little one, as long as you've got damage, a fire breath potion on its own is going to click through this, and it's also going to destroy the tentacles, which is the other big issue. And then but if you do that, then all of your champions are hitting the Kraken, and the Kraken dies real quick. So what causes everybody to fail against the Kraken? It's the tentacles. It's the tentacles. This one specifically, I'm glad it spawned. There's 3 types of tentacles. There's a smashing tentacle, this one right here. It looks absolutely smashing in that outfit. But it basically can hit like a bunch of people and do lots of damage. There's a stunning one, which whoever it hits is stunned and they can't do anything for a short period of time. But then there's a vampiric one. And when the vampiric one hits your party, it heals the Kraken. So if you get buried behind a bunch of trash mobs and there's a vampiric tentacle out and you're not killing the tentacle, then the Kraken just heals up and seems impossible. But literally, a familiar with the tiniest fire breath potion and enough damage, and all the trash mobs are gone, the tentacles go away immediately, and you can kill the Kraken. So I think the Kraken's super easy. I think not a lot of people are paying attention to what's going on. But this is way easier than the Frost Giant, who you only see like the knee and waist of because he's so tall and he's armored and he hits so hard. And the Devourer, who just comes out and instantly kills one of your party members. Those are worse for new players because there isn't much work around there. Foolish Genius, if I have 1 potion of polish, which Volo pre-stack scales harder with gear? Ooh, I don't know. I don't pay attention to that kind of difference. It's monsters and spec choices. I would say, actually, no, in this one, I'll tell you the answer is monsters, 100%. Because the most you can get in spec is 11, I think, with Ceramorphosis. I think you can still get somebody in that can give you 2 stacks. So maybe 11. But you can get 14 stacks of guides to monsters. Yeah. So that's about. I mean, whichever one has the biggest stack is what you would go for in that situation. So, because stacks are that important on a multiplicatively stacking champion, of course, or ability. Come on, everybody back out there again. All right. DJ Squared, how would you compare Dynahair's speed skills to other speed champions in her seat? I mean, normally I wouldn't. I find that because I had... So she's going to give you extra credit. This is something that they love to do in this scene. Let me just make sure. If I throw these in, I'm still capped. No, it goes up a month. Okay. So here's the thing. So this is probably the max currently for Spoils of War. 672% chance to drop double quest items. What does that mean? Because shouldn't you just have 100% and stop? Everything above that, everything above 100 drops an extra quest item. So 100% is 2. So 100% is 2. 200% is 3. 300% is 4, etc. So this is a guaranteed chance to get 7 credit. 7 credit for every kill. The normal area goal is 20, with a chance for every now and then to get 8. The normal area goal is 25. Okay, so that means you can get to a 4 kill clear, whether it's a 7 or an 8. You're at a 4 kill clear on her own, on an area. That's not bad, right? The other speed champions are Nahara and BBG, who have the exact same thing. So I'm only going to talk about BBG, except Nahara's is better unless BBG has the feat, and BBG's effect will work Well, they've both got limitations to their effects. Let's just put it that way. So it reduces quest requirements. So his is 50. His reduces by 50. So basically you go from 25 to 13. I think it rounds up. To move forward. So on her own, Dynahair, if you have Dynahair Max, which is one of the problems, she can get you to 4 kill clear on her own. That's pretty strong. It requires I have a golden 1600 on her or something. I have a golden epic with 1600 item levels. That's super unfriendly for anyone who isn't late game, basically. Whereas Nahara and BBG, you could just throw either one of these in. Usually you combine one of these two with someone else who gives you kill credit, and you can get 1 or 2 kill clears. You could do that though also with Dynahair and do the same thing. She requires this much bigger investment in item levels. And obviously it's only going to be with favored foes. Whereas Nahara and BBG are constant, everyone. So I find her to be more restrictive for a number of reasons. So I don't usually recommend her as a speed champion she is a speed champion. I don't recommend her for like gem farming, but if you're just trying to build out speed champions and you don't have any, she's a speed champion pickup. That's going to help you complete content quicker. I just wouldn't go super investment on her. With Charlaxlas was Gaarawarr's guides to everything, and thus Gaarawarr's guides to Fleetswake and whatnot. Inspired by Volo's guides. No. Just because they have a similar name doesn't mean it's actually the Xanathar's. Isn't it the Xanathar's guide to everything? Yes. That's where it came from. It was Playoff Xanathar's guide to everything. The community actually chose the name of. So I used to have a stream, if you're wondering what we're talking about. I used to have a stream called Gaarawarr's Guide to Everything, where it was just full Q&A. And the community came up with the name of that stream. That was the first stream I did for CNE. They are hers. What do red gems do? They are specifically for Black Viper. You collect them, they boost her damage in a run. And they also, as you gain lots of them, they unlock extra damage bonuses. You definitely want to get your 6,500 collected gems on her to have her at her max capacity. Anything beyond that is currently an absolute waste. But if you're using her as your DPS, you're just going to keep collecting. There are people in the community who have like millions of red gems because they're just crossing their fingers that one day they're going to be worth something. They're not yet. They're not yet. Let's see what else we got. We got a lot of joke questions here, so I'm trying to get through the joke questions because everybody knows I hate Volo's a hack. It's in my theme song. It's literally in my theme song. Volo's a hack. Van Richten too. Lurking Rider. Now that we're nearly a full year into Events 2.0. Yeah, they've almost been around for an entire year. Where would you place Fleetswake on your enjoyment scale? Is it more or less of a haddock than Midwinter or Dragon Down? Went for the pun. He went for the pun. But no, I mean, again, I think I don't have any issues with the Adolescent Kraken. I think it's a really cool, fun boss, and I think it's a boss that helps people understand that when you first run into it, you're like, I can't get past this. But if you stop for a second and you look at what's going on, you read the things on the screen because the tentacles have names. hover over the boss to see that it's hit based and not armored, you can figure out why you're having problems and overcome it. And I think that's an important lesson to learn in Idle Champions. Like so much of the game, events from the beginning were always, to me, felt like a mini version of the game, a tiny little mini version of the game, because you start with 0 favor and you have to build it up. You do a base adventure and you do variants. It was like teaching you, events were constantly teaching you how the core loop of the game works. And so I think Fleetswake with the Kraken is a great way of that, is a great addition to that, because it's an educational tool. It's like, if you stop and pay attention to these bosses that you're having problems with, like the main bosses, the Area 50 bosses, you can figure them out. You just have to figure out what's causing your problem and then solve it. And how do you solve it? Right? I like that kind of stuff. I like those kinds of fights. Evil Emperor Zuri. I'm here for the Volo's Guide to Hacking stream. I guess that's next. I don't. Volo has to do that one. I don't do that one. Delukester, question: yes or no? Or Kira first choice in Fleetswake? It depends. If you're a new player and you need a second champion, or you have two and you need a second champion in seat 1, or Kira, I think, is the best option. I think Gale would be after that. Sasaspia would be third from this event. That would be my ordering. If you're a little more experienced and you have a lot of the absolute adversaries, you might put Gale up front because he can interact with the absolute adversaries, right? For me, or if you're somebody who has Cass and you're like a Cass main and you want like, or you want like an evil DPS, you want somebody to support like an evil DPS, this Aspia can do that. But for me, Kira and Gale are like 2 of my 3 functional seat 1 swaps. So like usually I use Esmeralda for most things because she gets extra credit. She's a breaker. She doesn't have the role, but she is a breaker. She gets extra credit gives you extra credit on armored enemies, armored and hit space enemies. Kira is, again, a debuffer and healing. So if I need like survivability with my debuffs, because Esmeralda's got debuffs too, then I go for Akira. And then if I need some funky functionality up front, like an anti-tank or whatever, then I go with Gale. And I think because they all 3 for me have comparable buffs or debuffs support. Foolish Genius, in all seriousness, can you explain why Volo is your arch nemesis even more so than the Cridler? Again, he goes around saying he's a guide maker, but all of his guides are horrible. Canonically, Ed Greenwood, the creator of the Forgotten Realm, and also the person behind so many of the characters like Elements from Volo, has said canonically, and you can find the video online, that Volo was designed to be a hack. He's designed to be a bad guide writer. He is an unreliable narrator, if you want to think about it. He's designed to be bad at what he does, so that it leaves room for things. So when he makes a guide to Sword Coast, he leaves a lot of stuff out, and he might even get some things wrong. And they wrote it that way on purpose, so that they could release other books and things that fill in those gaps and wouldn't already be covered by this other one. He's designed to be bad at what he does, and he is. And he's real bad. That's why Volo's a hack. Volo is literally canonically, by design, a hack. All right. What do we have? Oh, Rising Flame, also for the event. What am I doing with the free spot, the flex slot? Which from the heroes behind it is useful for a beginner? Again, so for a brand new beginner, what you're trying to do with your flex slot is get 2 champions in every bench seat. 2 champions in every bench seat. So if you're brand new, you now have, like, you're brand new, you have Volo now. So you will have a swippy swappy button over here in seat 9. But other seats may not have a swap. Hopefully you've got a swippy swappy button here in seat 8 because you signed up for the newsletter and got Hitch. So you use your flex slot to pick from one of these other seats. Just so you can, wherever you need a second champion, anywhere you don't have a second champion, You pick. As a brand new player, all of the champions are going to help you progress. All of them. Even the ones that I say maybe aren't the greatest. When you're brand new, the early game, they're going to all help you complete content. And what you need to focus on more is just getting those seats filled. 2 champions in every seat, and then 3 champions in every seat. That is a higher priority because it gets you access to a second party and a Modron core, which gives you access to a little mini game that can create a lot of buffs. I don't have my Modest score. Oh, my Modest score buffed out? I guess not. Like this, we get buffs based off fill it by piping stuff out. You want to get access to that because you have to level that up and you have to collect pieces. So doing that first. Now, I think Desmond is a good swap for variants because, well, maybe not if you're brand new, but eventually he'll be a great swap for you. Again, Orkira in seat 1. If you plan to pick up more absolute adversaries, you'd go Gale in seat 1 instead. Dynahair does have a speed effect. It's going to be very small. She does have an interaction with Minsk, which if you're brand new, could be good. And if you need someone in seat 3. Narak, again, okay if you ignore half his kit. He's okay in 8. Zorbu in 12. Seat 12 is hard to unlock for newer players, but he is a solid DPS in seat 12 option. Black Viper is an okay DPS in 7 early on. Ariza and Solok are just... Aspia is okay. So it's really just, it's not like you're trying to be super optimal early on. You're just trying to get an extra option in each seat so you have more to choose from. Foolish Genius, if a tier 4 champion gets reworked later on. Tier 4 champion. Oh, if I tier 4 a champion. Wow, I just flew right through that. If I tier 4 a champion that gets reworked later on, would I automatically get the unique rewards? Yes. Through whatever tier you completed. Valdemar Night Road. What are the crunchy ways of gearing? Oh, God. Okay, so the normal way of gearing for a brand new player, just Electrums first, trying to get green or better. If you run out of Electrums and you're not green or better, then named silvers. Once you're at green or better, then and only then do you pop the named golds. That's the easy mode way to efficiently gear. I did it on stream. To efficiently gear up a champion to get them into a functional space. This next explanation is not for newer players. This is for people who are just obsessive about trying to get the most optimal strategy, but really it doesn't really matter. But if you're trying to get super obsessive about it, you have a naked champion. So a brand new champion, no gear. We call that naked. Naked champion. First thing you open is a patron chest that they qualify for. This is only gold. It's going to drop you a green or a blue. Basically, you're just filling a slot. You're hoping it's going to drop you a green and a blue, technically. So you're trying to fill a couple slots and then you're going to get a blue. But then that's it. Patron chest that they qualify. Stop. Next up, go Electrum chest until they're green or better. Same thing. If you run out of Electrum chests before they're green or better, same rules. Then you open named silvers. Once they're green or better, stop with their named stuff. Open more patron chests for the patron they qualify for until they're full blue. Technically, at least full blue, right? Technically, if you have enough patron currency, go all the way until they're full epic with just patron chests. You can alternate between different patrons they qualify for. When you're completely done with that, so let's say you go all the way to full epic, then and only then would you go back and start dumping on the named stuff. All the rest of the named chests. That is the most hyper-efficient, obsessive, compulsive way of... super crunchy way of trying to get the very best efficiency, like, and the most item levels out of what you're earning in an event when you get a new champion in an event. I've done it. I've tested it. I'm on a different account, and I I don't know. I'm not interested in it. I mean, but by the time when you have that much access to patron currency, it's like you can do it. There's like a short window. There's a small window in the mid game. I will say this: there is a small window in the mid game before you get access, before you really go heavily into gem farming, where it makes sense. So it's like early game, this electrum into silvers, name silvers into name golds. Mid game, you can do this hyper crunchy form, but at a certain point, you hit enough gem gain in your gem farm where you have like this millions of tokens, and none of that matters. It's just a waste of your time. Just you don't even need to do the electrums anymore. The only reason I keep electrum chests around are to demonstrate. I think it's Gothic Soldier. When does it become worthwhile to buy Modron chests from the Thayan Enclave? So first off, patron, you should be buying your Modron chest every week from your patrons. You can see it's not showing up here because I bought it. That's where you should be getting your Modron chests. Over here, there are chests down here. Modrons are the most optimal chest out of the chests, but you shouldn't really be buying any of these. You should, if you're going to be spending stuff and it's not on like these, and you don't want to buy like a golden or the feats or the skins, you should be buying support pigments. So when do you buy a Modron? When would you ever buy a Modron chest? When you have marvelous support pigments on all support champion, on all slots in all support champions in the game, then you don't need to buy these anymore, and then you could buy Modron component chests. But in all honesty, by the time you get there, you probably have enough. But that would be the next optimal thing after this. This is the most optimal thing. Sometimes there's a good golden epic to get. Beats you can always wait and get for gems later on, and then Modron component chest is last. Because Modron component chest is basically a gamble on what you're going to get out of it. Support pigment is a guaranteed boost to your party. Speaking of Meistrick, I have a marvelous support pigment and want to use it on Artemis, but he doesn't show up on the list because he's not a support champion. It's in the name. Marvelous support pigments go on champions with the support role, like Volo. They can't go on a pure DPS, like Black Viper. DPS pigments would go on a DPS champion, like this DPS pigment here on us. Oh, it's a support champion. Narak used to be a DPS champion, but there's these DPS pigments. There's DPS pigments, support pigments, tanking pigments, and healing pigments. But there's more support roles in the game than anything else, so they give us more support pigments than anything else. All right, time. Not sure if this is answerable. I've been trying to increase favor for the Vecna campaign. Okay. I noticed I get random huge spikes in gold find and damage that usually last for maybe a minute that disappear. Is that normal? Maybe. Is there a way to predict them and work with them? Yeah, it's based off the champions you're using. So I don't have a way to answer this question for you. I can tell you that, yeah, it's normal and yeah, it's predictable. But you have to read your champions you're using and understand why it's happening. I don't know what champions you're using. If you need help with gold find, there's like 3 different gold find methods in the game currently, like to really gold farm. I have a guide for that. _guides. Look for Gold Farming 101 in the top set of guides. Dust Knight. How's it possible that I have Sasaspia's achievement completed for 250 in any adventure variant free player time gate, but still haven't unlocked Sasaspia? I don't know. Sounds like a bug to me. Sounds like a bug to me. Yeah, it's a bug. It's a bug. All All right, folks, that's everything. This is the last stream of the week for C&E Games. I'll be back on Tuesdays. But I stream over on my channel, twitch.tv/Gaarawarr. You can click on my name there in chat. Monday through Friday. On Mondays and Wednesdays, I do Idle Chatter. That's my Idle Champions stream. We'll be doing event stuff. I thought on Monday I was going to be working on 8-jump Briv stuff, but then I forgot to set up my gem farm for a whole day. And when I don't gem farm for a whole day, basically I didn't earn 1.5 million gems, which kind of needed to get to be able to do the 8-jump on Monday. So we're probably gonna, we'll try to do some event stuff on Monday, if we don't get to 8-jump. Monday, and then Wednesday will be Sheila. Sheila will be arriving in the game. We'll be making the guide for Sheila, checking Sheila out, talking about Sheila and the event still. So hit me up over there for that. The rest of the days, we play other games. Right now I'm playing a cozy game called Traveler's Rest. I'm really enjoying it. But I had said when the Apothecary system hit the game, I was going to start a new player run on an alt account. Sean reset my account for me. The Apothecary system is arriving with Sheila on Wednesday. So Thursday, maybe day 1 tutorial of a new account. If you're new and you want to come by and see an established player play through a brand new account. Like what I do to be efficient, what are my tips and tricks, how do I get through things quickly. I do this once a year. I've been doing this once a year for the last 7 years. I start a new account, and it's so that I can keep my guides updated, because I target my guides for new players, for people encountering a system in a new time. I even have a guide that's specifically for new players. Is it still just exclamation point new player over here? I don't know. What's the one for my new player reference? Yeah, that's it. And I update that guide and I inform that guide based off runs like this. So come hang out. Yeah, next week. Good time for the event going on. Good time for a brand new account, new players. Even if I'm behind you, you can ask questions for where you are. We'll get it done, right? That's everything. Thank you to all of you for asking the questions. Thank you to Sean for grabbing the questions. The song we're going out on is the song for Orkira. It's called One Problem at a Time. Have a great weekend, everybody.